Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today for our review of the ID Buzz, we've got a little bit of a Daily Motor throwback because Nathan is here. Nathan has departed Daily Motor to set off in his own career endeavors, and then I left him in Michigan and came out here to California, but he is out right now, and we have a fun one here today because this is probably the car that has gotten the most attention out of just about everything I've had in the last few years, except for maybe the Lamborghini Revuelto in the Batman black spec that we had. But this sort of light tealish with a white two-tone, it gets a lot of attention. It certainly does. So today we're going to talk about our pros and cons after spending the week with the first edition Volkswagen ID Buzz here. We'll do a little bit of an overview. If you do want to see more on the Buzz, check the link below. We've got a dedicated range test at 70 miles per hour on the highway and a dedicated review of the Harman Kardon sound system. Quick overview of the ID Buzz. This is all new for this year, and it features an electric powertrain with either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel. This one is rear-wheel drive. There are a few different trims. This one is the first edition, giving you most of the bells and whistles and goodies. And in rear-wheel drive form here, it's coming in at a standard price of about $67,000. So, a little bit more than maybe some of the other vans on the market, especially when looked at feature for feature. However, there aren't any other electric, fully electric minivans on the market. There are some cargo vans, and then there's the plug-in hybrid Chrysler Pacifica. But if you want a full EV with van styling and sliding doors, this is about all you've got here in the States. And interestingly, I did do some research before starting this video, and I looked at the van starts within an SEL model at $60,000. However, an SEL rear-wheel drive Volkswagen Atlas, which is Volkswagen's second biggest car, is at $50,000. So it's only a $10,000 jump to get to a larger vehicle with a van and everything and an electric powertrain. So we're not going to necessarily harp on price too much, because some people are going to say, oh my gosh, that costs way too much money, that's ridiculous. But other people are going to say, hey, that's cool, I have the money, I want to buy it. So price is kind of on you to figure out. However, there are some cons and pros that Nathan and I have absolutely decided upon that we're going to start in now. Now, my first con starts with the interior, as does most of our cons for this one. But first thing, driving around on our fuel test, I noticed no outside rear dimming mirrors. And for about $67,000, I don't like getting blasted with headlights on the outside, because most cars at this price point are going to have rear outside dimming mirrors, but then also no camera rear view mirror. A lot of vehicles at this price point are starting to come with cameras, so that if you're driving a big car like this and you've got heads blocking your vision or cargo or anything like that, you get a nice big outside view. Now, I understand that some people don't care for those camera rear view mirrors, but at least give it an option. Also, we're seeing a slight kind of mini con in that every time you sort of get on and off the seat, the vehicle turns on and back off. And I've had issues throughout the week when I'm kind of maneuvering the car, where I'll sort of look up at something and then the whole car will shut off and grab itself. I've kind of I haven't included that as a full con, because there are certain things that as reviewers we're going to experience that maybe a normal owner wouldn't really, so I've ignored that. Next con, this is actually one that Nathan noticed first, and then I noticed as well, and we'll probably see as these clouds burn off, but this silver dash stripe right here reflects a lot of light, and because of this angle, it's sort of perfectly into your eyes, and it's on both sides.
Even right now, just the glare, it's bright. It's just almost like a bright light that's just there.
Yep. Frustrating design on it.
Yeah.
Now, the next con is the one we're probably going to spend the most time on. I've summarized it to begin here in general interior thoughtfulness and execution. Now, you see this big, giant vehicle, this bus coming at you, and you think, okay, this is an opportunity for an auto manufacturer to fully execute an interior. You want to see as many different places to put things, cargo, creativity, and execution. And the more time you spend inside the ID Buzz, the more you get disappointed. So, I mean, where do you want to start, Nathan?
Well, there's no place in the door for my cup holder.
Yeah, you can see even my water bottle is sort of fallen over because the door cup holders don't.
It flops around here. If you put it here, That kind of works.
That's not too bad. And these are actually, you can
although
sort of customize. Yeah, it's your coffee's not going to necessarily stay stay proper.
And then you get here, and then you think, well, what about down here? If I can even open that. Kind of, if you weren't going to drink it a lot.
But every corner you take, it's going to rattle a little bit.
That's true. So then the only place where you have like actual like purpose cup holders is right here.
And then heaven forbid you need to get something out of this
then
compartment.
You're stuck. That's stuck.
Yep. My 32-ounce water bottle does not fit in here.
And even just things like sunglasses, like you can put it here.
Thankful that they even included this.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
what about you? Where do you put stuff?
I'd have to go a little bit in my door. I have the world's tiniest pocket over here. Literally, it's this big. That's as deep as it is. So maybe some change or something. There's a wireless device charger here. However, it doesn't wireless charge my phone. It keeps coming up with a Qi charging error for some reason. Both directions that I put my phone in. We'll see if it works for Nathan's One Plus. It's a little bit larger. You kind of shove it in, which at first you think, okay, cool, it sort of holds it. All right, so it's starting. We'll see if it continues to charge here as we talk around the interior of the vehicle. Maybe it's my case. I don't know. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, now the sun's coming out, and
the glare's
yeah, if you come over and sit here later, you can see it. It's like really bouncing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as bad there because you got that there, but any passenger, now it's really like just bouncing right off here into my face. And the sad thing is you want manufacturers to put like nice looking silvery materials in the cars, but then they do something like that, and it's like
it reminds me, our father had a truck years and years ago that on the shifter had a bright chrome piece.
Yeah.
And because it was round, wherever you sat in the front, it would reflect light up at you.
My truck, same truck, it's silver in that one.
It's smart.
Because of the appearance package. Yeah.
And then some of the things you touch, like the steering wheel, feels really nice. The kind of like leatherette sort of feeling things, they feel good. But I'm not one, here at Daily Motor, I'm not one to harp on interior materials. But it's the fact that things you have to touch regularly, like this, is a cheap, hard plastic. We're talking about $67,000.
And a lot of things just aren't lined up really well. Like right there, that looks like it was just horribly put together.
Yep.
Down here, it's like it gets like big. The gaps get bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. Here, it gets like big, small, big.
Right. And the thing is, I just had the Volkswagen Jetta last week. None of those issues.
Yeah.
Part of it's because it was only $30,000 and I didn't care as much, but another part, that car is genuinely really well put together.
And it's interesting because Volkswagen used to be known for like their very, very solid interiors, where everything was just, even cheap cars were just well put together, like the Golf.
Yep.
But in this, you get in it and there's just not that sense of solidity that you would expect.
Yeah, and it's a shame because visually it looks really good. I like the two tones, the many different tones. No piano black anywhere right here, so you got to appreciate that. These lights are really nice. You kind of touch them, they turn on and off. It's kind of like wood grain up here. The vents work normally, thank goodness.
The colors and the styling is really good.
Right.
And really, I don't mind if they make things like this not feel like
because you're not touching it.
Yeah, you're not touching it, but it's visually appealing.
Mm-hmm.
But what's not visually appealing is the gaps and things that look like they were cut from X-Acto knife, like down here and right here. You can see like the edges where the plastic was cut.
Yep. And then this center console. If you're in a van, presumably you got kids, you got a lot of people in it and everything, you're going to need as much space to put things as possible. All you've got is these two little cargo areas. That's it. Where are you going to put your books and your snacks and your bags and everything? What, are you going to put a bag right here and then take one corner and it's going to slide over? This is removable, which is kind of cool. You could put more bags there. But I would much rather it be wider and not have these huge gaps where I'm going to drop food and cell phones and sunglasses and various things. Also, this is already chipped, isn't it?
There's a scratch here and it's chipping.
Huh. This is, again, kind of cool that you could adjust this, but you got to be thinking as optimal as possible from a things perspective. And I'm just not getting that vibe from the front.
Is this charging now?
It is, actually. I will give it. It's working better for your phone than it was with mine.
Yeah, it was charging.
All right, to the back. Now, sliding doors, those work really well. You click them, they open up. But what Nathan and I were most confused about is the fact that this second row is not very functional or comfortable, especially for adults. First of all, if you're going to be having car seats in there and you have a front-facing car seat tethered in, then getting into the third row is a disaster. So that's
you have a
frustrating
kid
right
now,
there.
so that's something you think about.
Exactly, something you start thinking about. Then you come in and you sit here and you go, okay, where do I put my drink? Seriously. I mean, Nathan said that earlier. He's like, okay, where do I put the cup holder? And I thought around for a second. There's no flip-down armrest, which is amazing to me. Almost every vehicle you get in these days has a flip-down armrest for the second row. And then you close this, and the doors actually have a good amount of places to put stuff. You could put books or cell phones or snacks or whatever. Also got this nifty little pouch. But again, where are the cup holders? There's nothing up here. There's nothing back here. And there's no places to rest your arm. This is way too high up and far away. You see the front seats have these two adjustable armrests. But look at Nathan, how he's just kind of sitting. I mean, this is not a great place to be for hours and hours at a time.
Admittedly, if you had a kid in a car seat, and you'd hope the car seat was comfortable enough for them.
Yeah.
But if you're teenage, you got a car full of teenagers, it's like they're
Or
just
adults.
going to be like this. Or adults too. And the seat, it's almost just kind of like one flat bench.
Yeah.
And you might say, well, it's not, just let them deal with it. But then you get in cars like the Honda Odyssey and the Chrysler Pacifica, they got those nice, comfy, captain-style chairs.
Yeah.
With all the armrests, everywhere in the world to put your stuff. Yeah, let me grab my water bottle.
And we're in a first edition. I mean, this should have bells and whistles. We're not talking about a base $60,000.
Yeah, seriously, where are the cup holders?
I know.
Like, put that stuff.
I can't. Like, there's nowhere to put it.
So then you're gonna get dads yelling at you for your stuff rattling around.
Right. It's very strange. And again, I'm not trying to harp on anything from a quality standpoint or anything. It's just thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
But now, and then the other strange thing is Nathan and I got into the third row, and we thought, oh, this is actually a better place to be than the second row because it's very easy to get back here. We're both about 5'10", and there's plenty of headroom, plenty of leg room. It's a comfortable seating position. There's places to rest our elbows, at least on the outside. It's a lower, closer part.
Look, cup holder.
Place to put that. And I think you have a second one down here, don't you? Oh, no, you don't. I do, though. That's weird.
Yeah, a good place to put your phone right there.
Even with a little USB-C charger.
And then you've got a 12-volt behind the seat.
Right. And look at Nathan. He's got plenty of headroom.
Yep, headroom, legroom.
These seats recline more.
I don't have my headrest up, so it looks kind of awkward. But yeah, lighting, vent, car. Does it have car talk?
Yeah.
Car talk.
Yeah. Air vents. I mean, it's weird to us that the third row actually would be a better place to be than the second row.
Okay, why are those red?
I don't know.
Like,
I really don't.
I guess that could kind of be a con. Is like, you know how like the Honda Odyssey, everything is like numbered like 1, 2, 3, I think, and it's very, very intuitive, easy to use. I keep getting confused.
Mm-hmm. It's not very easy to use. No, I'm fully with you.
That really hurts.
Yeah. Fortunately, it is easy enough to get in and out of as long as you know how to do it.
Ow!
Oh, sorry. Hurry up. Power sliding doors. And then coming back to the trunk area. If this is going to be used for sort of a hangout, whether you're camping, you're using it at the beach or whatever sort of vehicle, where are my power points? This is an EV. I should have at least one. Give me a few different wall-style outlets back here. And then, I mean, not a ton of cargo space.
This is really... You picked my mother and I up from the airport, and we had to
fold the seat down. Fold the seat down.
What's it doing?
I actually don't know. Why is it yelling at us? Oh, shit. I don't, what did you, what's the problem, Volkswagen? Oh, okay, I guess.
Hey.
Try putting the seat down.
You'd think, okay, the handle's right here. Pull the handle, it goes down. Pull the handle, it should, like, that's what you would expect. No. Do you have to go up there?
No.
This very, very over-engineered. Oh.
No.
What? No? Well, it's...
That's to remove the seat.
What? This is ridiculous. How? No. Did I just do this, or like? I swear, I thought I did this, but why isn't it the strap? It's got directions here. It says like 1. Oh, that's removing the seat. But it keeps saying 1 is up there. So how do you... Oh, an obscure thing that's way back there that you would never think.
Yep.
You'd think it'd be this thing.
Yep.
Like, why wouldn't they just make it that? Because then you could literally just like pop, fold down.
Yep.
I've seen cars where it's just like pull,
I know.
push.
Do you even want to try removing that seat?
No. Should we though?
No, we'll do that for the pros, because I actually do think that it's cool that the seats come out. But it's, again, kind of wrapping up our thoughts. I know it's been a long con, but for a van, this should be the most creative, intuitive, fun, kind of useful interior.
There's got to be a clip of you in an old video with the minivan
sure.
putting the third. You should put that in.
Well, yeah, even ignore the fact that none of these are power or anything. I mean, there's plenty of vehicles that cost less than this that you just press a button and those seats fold.
But look, there's an indent of a ID Buzz right there.
Ah, so that makes it all worth it, right?
That's. How do you put this up? No, is it the? No. It's. What is this for then? What is that thing even for?
You have to pull this and pull that. It's literally a two-handed job. What? I know.
So you might as well just cut these off, and they're useless.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to our next con. Next con is the lack of one-pedal driving. I don't understand why Volkswagen doesn't give us the option to have one-pedal drive. Now, if you've never driven an electric vehicle, that might not be a big deal to you. Also, why did the... Anyway. Because you might say, oh, well, I'm used to using the brake pedal, that's fine. But you don't realize that it's a better way to do driving. It's like being in a golf cart. You can just take your foot off the gas pedal and then come nicely to a stop. This car has B mode, which increases the regen, but then it comes down to this speed and never comes to a full stop until you put your foot on the brake. And then if you just drive in D mode, it essentially has no regen at all and just sort of freewheels, which theoretically is actually a little bit better for energy. But I would like to have EV one-pedal driving, and most EVs these days do it, so it's frustrating to me that Volkswagen does not. And my last con for the car, I know we're not going to harp on price, however, I do feel like it's at least worth pointing out that the range is not fantastic. And I want to add to that and contextualize it a little bit. It's the range for being such a large and long vehicle. Now, I fully understand that we're not dealing with great aerodynamics here. This is a big vehicle. It's got to push a lot of air at highway speeds. So you're not going to be getting the slipperiness of something like a Hyundai Ioniq 6 or even a Volkswagen ID4 or something like that. However, we've got this giant long floor here. Why do we only have a 91 kilowatt hour battery pack? If you get in something like one of the electrified General Motors products that's this big, it has nearly double the battery capacity, and that's how those vehicles are able to do such big ranges even at highway speeds, is because they just throw a bunch of battery at the problem. Now, is that the most sophisticated answer? No. And is this plenty of range in this car, 250 miles or so in mixed driving? Is that plenty of range for the average kind of city commuter sort of person? Yeah, absolutely. I've had no problem doing what we've needed to do day to day in this car. But if you own a van, presumably you're going to have a lot of people in it, presumably you're going to have it loaded up with stuff, and presumably you're going to want to be able to use it for road tripping. And on our highway fuel economy and range test, we got technically 210 miles of range, but that's from a 100% all the way down to 0. That's not how you're going to actually drive in the real world. What you're going to do, you might leave your house charged up to 100 for a trip, but then you're going to get down to about 15 to 20% because you can't run it all the way down to 0 or else you'd be stranded, and you need to go to an actual charger location. So that's probably going to be somewhere between 10 and 25% state of charge. So realistically, you're only driving about 2 hours or so before you have to stop and then charge this thing up. Not going to take forever. It's not abysmal charging speeds, but it's not fantastic. And then you're going to get back on the road again about half an hour, and then you're going to have to stop again in another 2 hours. And it's just not ideal. Then factor into it any sort of elevation or wind or temperature. And it's not just an electric vehicle problem. It's more so the ID Buzz problem. In fact, when I went and visited Nathan in Michigan last winter, we had a Rivian R1S. That car only costs, I think, about $30,000 more than this, so fairly significant. But we were able to do, I think, even in the cold and the winter with all-wheel drive and all the gear in that Rivian, I'm pretty sure we were able to do about 250 miles or so on a charge. And that's a much more capable vehicle with more all-terrain focused tires and everything. So it can be done, and it's a shame to me that Volkswagen hasn't done it here with the ID Buzz. Back here static for the start of our pros. And I promise, there is redemption for the ID Buzz, but it mostly comes down to what I summarized with one word: character. We get so much attention in this car. So many people, whether it's just random people on our street, or literally, if you see in this image here, Nathan and I went to a Lamborghini, Bugatti, McLaren dealership, and the porters there were interested in this. There were multiple people swarming our ID Buzz.
They literally go, "Oh, the ID Buzz," and then they went out and looked at it. And here I'm literally looking at a Bugatti, and a Pininfarina, and a Koenigsegg, all lined up. It was like one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And they're out looking at the ID Buzz.
Yeah. So if you think of a car that you can get into for $60,000 that's going to get just about as much attention as possible, it is this. And admittedly, I really like the character of it too, but I'm a sucker for both vans and electric vehicles. It's not going to be for everyone. And I admit, it's not a handsome design. It's got this big gaper mouth, which fortunately you don't really see much in this color, but in darker colors you really notice the grille. They're not all two-tone, and admittedly I don't think the ones that aren't two-tone look as good. And it is a bit, I don't know, it's not going to be for everybody, but I think it's cool. And that extends into the interior as well. I mean, despite what we talked about with the cons about some of the things they didn't think of very well, other things they did, like this little portal window that opens up for the second row, and this nice two-tone, and the armrests that come down, and the ambient lighting, and some of the elements. I mean, the little play pause buttons on the pedals. There is a character to the car that's fun. And I want to give Volkswagen credit for this, because so many cars these days are just boring. You know, they'll come out with some new, okay, it's a Nissan Rogue or something like that. It's like, who cares?
Especially electric cars, you know, like the what does Ford make?
Exactly, the Mach-E.
The Mach-E. And I guess that one is cool, at least.
Or like the Mercedes, all the Mercedes EQ products.
Yeah.
Or the, you know, I bet you can even tell me which Audis are electric these days, because they've got this e-tron, that other Q4,
e-tron, and it's like they're just EVs, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that this at least is fun and unique.
It's fun, it's cool. It's something they tried to kind of do a throwback to a different era.
Right. The next pro, back into the cargo area here, is the fact that you do get these removable seats. Now, I'm assuming that this little cargo basket thing here is an option. I think you would just normally get this very flat load floor, because you can see. What is it so upset about? I don't understand. I'm just accessing my trunk.
Let's go to the front and see what happens. What?
Oh, it's closing. Why?
It's possessed.
Why did it close?
Okay.
You know how mad I would be if I was loading up all my kids' stuff and my car started beeping?
You got Eve sleeping in your arms and it just starts beeping at you.
Right. Anyway.
So it almost seems like though you
do.
Oh.
Would you like to do it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I've never done this before.
All right.
So, very straightforward.
I will say that despite this being kind of over-engineered and ratchety and stuff, it's still better than the Toyota Sequoia's little thing that you can't even remove.
All right, now it should... Oh, okay, yeah, so... There. Once it's out, it's out.
Yeah, so put that in your garage.
Yeah, just set that there.
And then
All right,
now we'll see if Nathan can remove the rear seats.
Pull here, because I know how to do this now. And then, right? Do you have to go up front to...
No.
Oh, wow. Yeah, then it's just a matter of... If you get used to how it...
Yeah. I mean, that's really, for removing a seat,
That's not bad at all.
it's not bad. And then you get this actual, real, deep, long load surface there. So you could camp in it or something like that, or, have a lot more storage if you never used it.
And then you can really use that headroom.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I do appreciate how easy they make that. And the fact that you could do it at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. And then it reinstalls really not too bad either. We'll see Nathan's process here. And this, when I was talking earlier in the video, I would like to see more creativity and execution like this around the vehicle. Give us even more that works well and is clever.
Definitely need to do your squats, though, to get used to doing this. Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just, yeah, done.
So the hardest part about that was just the lifting it.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely need to...
You need to have some strength.
Yep.
Now the next pro, out here on the road, I know I talked earlier about the fact that this doesn't get fantastic range. However, I do appreciate that it is an electric vehicle, because if this had some sort of Volkswagen 2-liter turbo powertrain, yes, it would be more functional for road tripping, but it would not be nearly as cost efficient to drive on a daily basis. It'd probably be getting in the high teens, low 20s for fuel economy, and it would not be nearly as powerful and nearly as smooth and quiet. I mean, we're getting up to highway speed here. It's very quiet. And then I'm gonna merge onto the highway. No shifting, very smooth. And I can hammer it even in this lower powered rear-wheel drive model, and it gets up to speed really quick. It doesn't even taper off at highway speeds. I mean, it's still pulling. There's 80. Good luck getting to 80 miles per hour that quickly in a 2-liter turbocharged Volkswagen Atlas. So I understand that some people would prefer it to be gasoline, but if you're not using this as a road tripper and you're using it as a daily driver, it's so nice to be able to charge your car up every morning, leave with a full tank, if you will, and have this smooth, uninterrupted power for daily driving and city commuting.
That is an interesting point about how it does make more sense to have less efficient vehicles as EVs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Nathan's got a good point, because the heavier the vehicle, also the more sense it makes to have it be electrified, because as I come up into this turn up here, I'm doing almost 70 miles per hour, I get off, right now we're regenning, which means we've got 6,000 pounds of vehicle regenerating our kinetic energy back into the battery, which means I'm saving a good portion of that momentum and energy to use as I reaccelerate. If this were just a gas car, it'd be burning up all of that weight into brake pad, essentially, and then having to use gasoline to get back going again. So if you're just using this as a kind of a running the kids to school, doing errands, going grocery shopping, a around town sort of car, it actually works fantastic as a plug-in electric vehicle. And on top of that, I've actually only been charging it on level 1 charging at home recently. I haven't been using my special level 2 charger, and it still charges up just fine. The next pro is the active lane keeping here in the ID Buzz. Their IQ Drive Assist, or whatever Volkswagen technically calls it, does actually work quite well. And one of the things I appreciate about it is, if I get around these trucks, if we set it here, it keeps you nicely centered in the lanes, it's very confident, and when it's time to put your hands back on the steering wheel, you get a tiny little icon there. And then if you don't do that yet, then you get a little bit of a bigger one and a little flash up in the dash. And then after those two, you get a very nice little chime. There are some vehicles, like the Subaru Forester I also have this week, that barely give you any sort of warning or heads up before it's about to yell at you for putting your hands on the steering wheel. And it turns down your music. It's very disruptive. I actually quite appreciate that not only does the active lane keeping work well, but it's a nice, pleasant system to use, and I've actually enjoyed having it enabled throughout my highway driving, unlike some of the other systems on the market. The last pro is that it is a van, and it is quite spacious. I mean, Nathan and I are full-grown adults. We've got a good amount of space in here. Yes, we would like a little bit more places to put some of our stuff, but all things considered, it's a big, cavernous, functional vehicle, and there are not many other electric vans on the market that can do this sort of 7-passenger sort of driving and do it all so comfortably. I mean, we as full-fledged adults, we're comfortable in all 3 rows, and it does work pretty well for that. And yes, it might not be the best executed, but considering it is one of the only electric vans on the market right now in minivan style, you got to give it some credit for that. So wrapping up our thoughts here on the Volkswagen ID Buzz. I love that Volkswagen did it. I mean, the execution, questionable, but when I first saw it come out, and I think a lot of other people, both car enthusiasts and non-enthusiasts alike, were just excited to see something like this. Whether you're somebody who used to own used to own a Volkswagen Bus, and you've got nostalgia for that, or you just somebody who likes that this big, colorful, weird-looking vehicle coming down the road, it's cool that it exists. Then it does have pros to it. The way it drives, the powertrain. Volkswagen is getting good at this electric vehicle, and it's got redemptive qualities. And on top of that, I mean, even Nathan, he was excited when we first showed up. You're like, oh wow, this is going to be something cool. I mean, there's a lot to talk about with this vehicle.
I think what it really did is it brought a lot of energy and made a lot of people interested in the Volkswagen brand again.
That's a good point.
Even for just a short amount of time, it brought a lot of attention to Volkswagen, a company that really has been downsizing in the American market. You know, they got rid of the golf range. You know, they just really haven't been the same presence that they once were.
Golf is gone, Passat's gone, Arteon's gone, Touareg is gone.
How is that you a lot of people probably cross-shopped those vehicles. I can remember Volkswagen products from my childhood.
Yeah.
And now it's like a lot of people don't really consider them, it seems like.
Yeah. So I'm glad that it exists. However, it should be more. It should be either just an amazing vehicle, because they've got all this space. They've got a huge blank canvas. There's no drivetrain they got to worry about. It's a blank. There's no first gen of this that they've got to base on. They could have thought so much more creatively and outside of the box, and yet so much of it just leaves you wanting more.
It almost just seems like an attention getter.
Yeah.
It seems like the purpose of creating this was to really just kind of surprise people and pull some attention back into the brand, even just for a short amount of time. And maybe make some people interested. They go into the showroom, they see this, then they go over and look at maybe a Golf GTI or a Atlas, or maybe they see this and, oh, it's an electric van, maybe it's a little bit too out of their price range, so they look at the ID4 instead and walk out of the showroom with one of those.
Right. So many of the Volkswagens I get into these days, it feels like they thought about it in like a engineering suite and a boardroom, but they didn't actually get in vehicles and think about what it's like to use them and drive them and spend time with them. Some cars I review these days, I get in and I go, this makes so much sense. This was so well thought out. This feels like a real human interacted and changed and tweaked things and made it better. There's so much about using this car that they have micro frustrations on the car. Things like the steering wheel with its haptic controls, things like this infotainment system, things like every time I kind of lift my butt up out of the seat, the car turns off and then it gets back on. Things like it beeping at Nathan and I when we're using it in the rear. Things like not having a good place and no place to put cup holders in the back. So much of that adds up to be like, okay, what were they thinking when they designed this car?
It's like they just designed it in committee. Told, designed it on paper, then just told the just all right, send this through. It's not like some cars you get in, it feels like they really just, someone got in this and said, I want this to be like that, this needs to be like that, this doesn't work, this is good. It just feels like they just, put our infotainment system there, badge there, it meets all the regulations, all right, send it out.
Send it. But before we fully wrap up, we do need to put it on the Daily Motor leaderboard. Taking a look at our current leaders, we've got the Hyundai Santa Fe, the Jeep Gladiator, and the Nissan Armada. All vehicles that, well, not all, but cost somewhat close to this, kind of encompass it. It's not going to do well. I'm sorry. The biggest redemption to the ID Buzz to me is that it's a van and that it's cool. But for me, it's going actually below its relative, the Volkswagen Jetta, in 10th place, right above the Ram 1500 Rebel X. Another car that I thought should be better than what it actually is. But hey, if you want a car that's going to get you a whole lot of attention and be nice to drive kind of on a daily basis from a powertrain standpoint, you could do worse. The ID Buzz is cool, but I'm ready for a facelift. It's a car that I feel like already needs to be redesigned. Not from a styling, but just from a thoughtfulness standpoint. So thank you all so much for watching. Thanks to Nathan for coming out and helping us with the review. A little bit of a throwback for you all, classic Daily Motor subscribers. If you do want to see more on the ID Buzz, check the link below for our other videos, and we'll see you on the next one. We're Charlie and Nathan with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.